king should be eternal. So there should be a permanent record of his having existed. It's very important. In one pyramid, one of the architects or one of the builders secretly wrote his name on a wall, someplace on a wall in a hidden place, just so that he could share the eternity of the building that he put up for the sake of the king. I believe he was killed, I don't know. Chutzpah, you have no right to eternity. This is the king, the Pharaoh's eternity, not yours. You can't have even a small share of it. We want to give a permanence to ourselves. We know how impermanent we are, the paucity of our existence. It wants it to mean something. And running faster and faster, it all means less and less. And therefore, as we run faster, we have to run faster yet. I remember hearing from Aaron Tversky how he prepared himself to go to a certain place for there was a special spa and special things. I think it was someplace in Arizona, and pools and all kinds of things. And he had it set up in a way that it has no problem with taruvas, has no problem with kashrus. You know, it's a constitutional bench, and individual pools, and then they cover you with mud and they spew you and this and that. It's just hot for the feather. So he told me years ago that he says he came down there. He had to work so hard to get there. He had so much to do. All had to be shoved to the side. He came down there, and they took him to this delicious warm pool. And they told him the first thing he said, "You got to go in here and stay for an hour. I just soak in the pool for an hour." And he went in. He said, "In 5 minutes, I was platzing. I was sure I'd been there, you know, at least an hour. It was 5 minutes." They said, "Go back." I was platzing. You can't slow down. There's another question here. The man comes into the house. There's a lot of, I mean, certainly a Hafel fellow, I want to point out, he's always called Ha'ish until he says that terrible sentence, which he didn't have to say. Eved Avrom. And from then on, he's called Eved. He's not called Eved before that. Because he came, he looked like a prince. Eved Melech Melech. He was dressed well, he came with cameras, he had the shamosim with him. It was gewaldig. He could have said, you know, without introducing himself, I was sent by Avrom. I was sent by Avrom. He said, Eved Avrom. In a society where there are slaves, a well-dressed slave is still a slave to a free person. He says, Eved Avrom Anochi. From then on, he's always called V'yomer Eved. It wasn't necessary to say it, but he said. So, they give him to eat, and of course, it's the right thing to do. V'yomer, he says, Lo oichal adam dibarti v'yomer. I will not eat until I speak. It reminds me, this pasuk came back to me once when I had this involved with a get. It was very hard to get. A get that was hard to get. And finally, after much cajoling and threatening and various other things that were used, the husband agreed to give the get. And the get was being written. And the wife was in an adjoining room. The husband shouldn't know because he was a madman. And if he would know his wife was there, he would have killed the whole thing. So the wife was waiting in the adjoining room. And the surface writing the get. And letting the ink dry. And he's working on it. And in the middle, it was late in the afternoon by this point, somebody arrives in our room with a big brown bag filled with hot pastrami sandwiches, wrapped in white paper, perfectly wrapped each one, on club. And the pickles quartered, wrapped up in the second paper, and a couple of cones of deli mustard. And the overpowering scent came into the room, put it down on the table, and everybody goes, "Where do you wash?" I couldn't get over it. We had traveled very far and worked very, very hard to get this get. And everything was suspended with a husband who was recalcitrant. It was almost impossible to hold him. It was Quicksilver, this guy. You couldn't hold on to him. Now he says, give it. In 15 minutes, he'll say, don't give it. And we all know it because it was the guy's a mishmar, not because we thought so. He already changed his mind 3 times in the afternoon. But food is in front of you. That's it. You smell it from the bed. Hot pastrami, forget it. And the pasuk came to my mind. I will not eat until I speak. The picture he has is sitting there, and these big bowls of good things on the table, and it's all steaming and hot, and smells good. I will not eat until I speak. Why? That is the chashivas of I understand what I'm doing. I'm not going to interrupt with eating. Eating is very inferior and very secondary to the chashivas of my mission. My mission here, I'm not here on a social, it's not a social occasion for me. I understand what my mission is, and I will focus on my mission. I won't eat until I finish, until I speak. And he doesn't eat until the whole negotiation is completed. Why? The understanding of what he's doing. Not interrupting with something else. Not interrupting with something else. And today we are multitasked, and there's no chashivas to anything that we do. And some of the things that we do are great mitzvahs, great chasadim. But you know, I think that they're all tainted by the fact that we don't understand that we're doing them, we don't do them, we don't experience them, and they don't do anything for us in return. Now, if I had the courage, I would just stop talking now and just let the room fill with silence. That's another thing we're not allowed to have. Silence. How awful. There's no entertainment going on. There's no talking. There's no background chatter. There's no muzak. There's no NPR yakking away. There's no thing on the wall screaming at us. Even when you go in an elevator today, you shouldn't lose contact with the world, they say. There's a screen that's showing you a channel. You sit in a doctor's office and wait, the fast was showing. It should be without a screen showing you something. How do I have the courage to stand here silently? I don't have the courage to stand here silently and say anything. Even these pauses are too long. On my side, we are being destroyed by the technology and by the world around us. Why are we being destroyed? Because we live only once and we are buried in the noise and the racket. And when we come home, the house is full of it also. And we have a lot of responsibilities. Do you know that Gedoyel Namol used to go by Isboidedus? You have an idea what that means? Isboidedus. Why? To go away in the forest or some distant place where there are no human beings around you. Well, what'd you do there? I mean, what'd you do there? Weren't you bored? Away from the noisy world of men, you can create the man who is you. You can create the man who's you. And you can decide what you want to do in that place. You may learn. I'm not talking about noise. Don't get me wrong. You may stare at the clouds. We're afraid to be alone and quiet for a while. afraid we'll discover that there's nothing inside ourselves. Nothing comes up with empty thoughts. That is the punishment for a life that has not been lived correctly. There's just nothing to think about, because we never think. And we're afraid to be alone with ourselves. Because we don't find anything inside ourselves. And we're empty from all these mitzvahs, from all these dafim. Because we never stopped to think. A couple of years ago, 30 years ago, I was took a tour in Israel was highly recommended by my mishmar. I find whenever they recommend me, it's usually a guy with a beard or a room with a shaker who's the tour guide. That is and the questions that I want to ask, the haskalah to the questions like, when did this happen, when did that happen? They don't want it, they don't even know what to do. Shaker's question. Which way did the Romans come? Whatever I want to ask them, they don't, they're here to bring it. Tell them to me or something. So this guy is taking us to all the kfar. We had kfar, it was enough. It was just, and here, and then you have to run to this cavern, and then run to this cavern, run to this cavern, run to this cavern, and this and that. And we're passing a beautiful scene. I stop. I see a waterfall. I see this. I stop. He says, "What is there to see here?" What is there to see here? I said, "Don't you see it?" He said, "No, there's nothing to see here. Come on, I'm going to take you. Get in the car. We're going." I said, "The Mayor's fine. I've waited 2,000 years to come here. I want to look at it." I was in Yerushalayim a couple of years ago. Brother-in-law told me he's going to send his son to take me around. I said, "I don't want to be taken around." He said, "But you won't know where to go." I said, "What do you mean where to go? I want to go where I want to go." I would go out every night and I'd sit on Kikar Davidke, Choiv Yafa and I forgot the cross street. I sit there on a bench. Sometimes I get up and walk down to Rosh Yeshiva and back. What are we running to? When are we going to live? When are we going to experience it? When are you going to feel it? And it's like that with all of life. And it's like that with all our actions and all our mitzvahs. Maybe we can focus on certain mitzvahs that we do and give ourselves the menuchas hanefesh to appreciate what we're doing, to take the time to do it slowly, to feel it. Nicht da reingappen, Gappen ist da rein. Thank you for listening to us.